Guernsey cattle are golden, from their skin right down to their milk. If you are looking for quantity and exceptional quality, you can't go wrong with this 1,000-year-old marvel of the dairy world. They are the standard by which all milk and dairy products were set by 100 years ago. When smaller operations start dipping their toes into getting a milking animal, our thoughts usually turn to the smaller livestock breeds, thinking that they'll be easier to manage due to their smaller size. But we soon find out that goats are noisy and mischievous, and almost any miniature version of any kind of livestock always comes with enough cheek to make up for their smaller size. That's where the Guernsey, with all of her size, comes in to save the day. Don't let your fear of getting such a large animal get in the way of getting your own dairy cow. She's going to be the sweetest, calmest, and most no-nonsense cattle you could ask for. So let's get into it. Here's the history of the Guernsey cow and all of that delicious golden milk she's going to give you. Guernseys were first recognized in the 1800s, but their journey started as long as 1,000 years ago. That's when cattle were first brought to the Isles that are nestled between England and France, and the development of dairy cattle started taking shape. Guernsey is one of those isles, and its neighbor, the Isle of Jersey, gave birth to the Jersey dairy cow that is so popular today. The Guernsey and the Jersey definitively share common ancestors, and their development happened around the same time. The Isle supplied England, France, and the Netherlands with breeding stock to strengthen herds that were inland and to breed better dairy production into them. The Isle cattle passed on their DNA to almost every dairy cow in existence from that point onwards. However, that free trade was shut down in the 1700s. The Isle of Guernsey wasn't going to be giving their prize milking cattle away for free anymore. With the introduction of cattle showrooms, larger production farms, and official breeding logs, livestock was quickly becoming a very valuable trading item, and the Guernseys were one of the most valuable dairy cows on the showroom floor. They were brought to the US as early as the 1830s, and their genes were also used to lay the foundation for just about every American dairy cow. Guernsey and Jersey cows are probably the most important factors in the dairy industry as we know it. Their hooves are embedded in every single milking breed developed since the 1800s. Guernseys are excellent milkers, but the Holsteins, Brown Swiss, and Jersey breeds produce just a little more milk. That gallon or two more was enough to push the Guernseys to the sidelines. Large-scale farmers are not fazed about temperament, and disease-prone animals can be managed with antibiotics, so they have the freedom to focus on as much produce as they can. They now make up only 10% of English milk production, with a few Guernseys speckled among homesteads across Europe. They aren't exactly on the endangered list just yet, but their numbers in Europe are low enough to warrant a close eye on their populations. On US soil, Guernsey and Jersey cows are the choice of dairy cows for families and small acreages. But those small pockets are too few to truly cement their place in America. They've managed to just barely hang around since their initial introduction, but they are very much restricted to the small holdings. Here is what you can expect from your Guernsey if you ever decide to keep one. They are a medium to large breed of cattle, and they are ideal for novice and intermediate cattle owners because of their relaxed dispositions. Obviously, bulls in rut and younger animals should still be handled with care, but overall, they are by far the most relaxed of the milking breeds. Guernseys are big, and they produce big. You can comfortably get 4 gallons a day from a single cow, or 6 gallons on the high end. The high levels of A2 beta-casein they produce turn their milk a yellow-golden color, and the A2 beta-casein present in the milk is a good indicator of a heritage breed. Most newer breeds don't have this protein in their dairy. A2 proteins are easier to digest for those with dairy sensitivities, and they aid in the more efficient absorption of other minerals in the digestive tract. It's also more comparable to human breast milk than milk produced from cattle that does not contain the A2 protein. This lack of A2 proteins in most of the milk you buy on the shelf today is thought to be the driver of increasing lactose intolerance in the general population. If you have the option, it's always wiser to choose milk from a breed that does produce A2 beta-casein. Many compare the taste of Guernsey milk to sweet buttercream. That richness comes from the fact that they have 12% more protein and 30% more cream in their milk than average dairy cows produce. This makes them the perfect dairy cow for cheese, yogurt, curd, and ice cream. They are sometimes called the Golden Guernsey because of the many shades of golden brown that they come in, and of course their trademark yellow milk. Guernsey cows have the best birth rates among all of the cattle breeds, and they mother their young exceptionally well. Heifers start calving at around 22 months of age, meaning that they'll be suitable to start producing milk for you at 2 years old. Young heifers will babysit older cows' calves, and they create strong bonds with other cattle that are in their herd. They even have best friends, a bond that begins when calves close in age are raised together. They are adaptable to most climates and brave cold winters well. Guernseys are not any more prone to a specific disease than any other cattle are, and besides the obvious treatments for area-specific parasites and the usual hoof and mouth disease checkups, they will fare well in most environments with very little complaints. Their feed isn't too complicated either. Guernseys are pasture cattle, and they would prefer to have grazing fields. Their docility might give you the idea that they would do well in factory settings, but the Guernseys just aren't made to be cramped up and live on just grain-based feed. They don't need much space, just enough to forage on grass and under the canopy of the open air. And to sweeten the pot, Guernseys eat 40% less than other dairy cows do. And as we do with all of the livestock breeds that we look at here on our channel, we like to weigh the pros and cons of each individual breed. We'll start with the positives for the Guernsey. We cannot stress how calm their natures are compared to other breeds. This makes it possible for them to train on a halter to lead them to their milking stations. Even cows that are new to the milking process place their trust in their human handlers when they get a little nervous. It's unlikely that she'll ever kick or bite unless she is in some sort of pain, in which case there is probably an underlying medical issue that needs your attention. Bull calves can be reared and sold off for beef, leading to an extra source of income. And given their high fertility rates and fantastic calving, you'll have plenty of little calves running around in no time. Or you can just raise those bulls for your own beef. A fully grown bull can weigh 700 kilograms on average. The fact that they are by nature foragers and that they carry a little more protein than other milking breeds makes their meat dark, lean, and flavorful. Guernseys were not bred to be beef cattle, so their meat falls more on the higher end of average. It's especially well suited for those who want something that leans more toward the leanness of game meat without the gamey taste that comes with it. Health-wise, Guernseys are very easy to care for. They are not prone to milk fever or other udder complications, but care needs to be taken if you're using a milking apparatus as opposed to milking by hand. The attachments need to be a little bigger than average since their teats are a little larger, and squeezing them into a unit that is too small is going to cause problems for her down the line. Foragers are just cheaper to keep in the long run, no matter what livestock you're looking at. Guernseys don't need more than 30% of their feed supplemented, and that's only if you really want to make sure that their protein needs are completely taken care of. Other than that, they just want to be milked regularly, have access to clean water and some occasional attention, because they really are very social animals. It's been proven that they'll actually produce more milk if they are treated with love, or at least if they have another cow or two for company. Or even a donkey. They get along great with each other too. And now we have some food for thought when it comes to the Guernseys. Any large animal, like cattle, is going to require a financial commitment. Constructing their fencing, milking stations, and roofed winter housing are all factors that you need to take into account. Occasional veterinary care and predator danger are also on the table for you to think about. But the ease of their care, high milk production, and the fact that you can raise and sell the calves will somewhat offset this financial commitment. Guernseys are already a rare enough breed that the cost of getting one for your farm is going to be a little more than a standard breed will be. There are only 6,000 of them registered in the USA, and you need to be aware that purchasing them isn't the end of the transaction. You still have to pay to drive them to your property. And given the fact that they have less fat on their carcasses and their rate of growing out to butcher age is slower than beef cattle, they won't be suitable for making big profits. You can certainly make up for your financial losses from raising them and even get a little more than you spent. But honestly, it's more beneficial to use that beef for your own food storage than it is to expect to find a steady market for it. They are very much a dairy cow, and they'll always be. There's no need to force a meat market onto them. They just won't be as productive as other breeds in that area. Then there's the sheer amount of milk you will be getting. Even at the lower end of 4 gallons a day from a single cow, that's just too much for a single household to get through unless you have a really large family. So if you aren't selling your excess, there's always the option of making other products from it, like cheese, or supplementing your pig feed with the milk. But you really need to have a plan set in mind before you get any kind of dairy cow on your property. Then there's the social aspect of Guernseys. If you can't give them another cow to make friends with, you need to be willing to take a little time during feedings and milking to cuddle and care for them. It's not like she'll stop producing milk if she's lonely, but you'd rather have a happy cow in your care than a miserable and noisy one. Guernseys, in our opinion, have so many positives that they far outstrip the other dairy breeds. Their docile and sweet temperaments are perfect for small operations and the ideal opportunity to get children involved on the farm. Their milk is superior to almost any other dairy on the market. The only real downside is to figure out how you can possibly use all of that nutritious golden goodness that your Guernsey is going to give you every day. Now we'd like to get some takeaway from our viewers who have experience in keeping Guernseys. Tell us what your experience was like, and do you, like us, agree that they are the absolute perfect dairy cow for the family and the small acreage? Let us know in the comments below, and please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every bit of engagement from you helps our team to keep the amazing livestock breeds of the world coming to your screens every week. See you next time. Cheers!